listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
Well, guys, I don't know if you can tell by my voice, but the COVID finally got me. I have avoided it for so long.
You are like a whole pandemic.
So yeah. And you would think that I got it while I was on this like 2-week adventure in Toronto and Ottawa for the Toronto Film Festival and a bunch of other stuff. No, I made it all the way home. I was fine. Everything was good. I went to what can only be described as one of the safest book launches in the history of all time for a friend of the podcast and, our dear friend Hannah McGregor. Her wonderful book, A Sentimental Education, came out. And we had this like lovely book launch at Iron Dog Books here in East Vancouver. And everyone was required to wear masks and everyone was so great and like good and caring, blah, blah, blah. And then a few of us got cocky at the end and we were like, okay, 8 people are going to stay behind and raise a glass in Hannah's honor. We're going to take off our masks for like 10 minutes. And we did. And like 5 of us are sick.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a real bummer.
But so just to explain to our listeners, we've been kind of we've been running a few repeats over the past couple of months, just because you've been on this epic journey where you went to TIFF, and and then now you've had COVID.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, so good. Honestly, good thing we did schedule some. We did some pre-recordings because for the last week I definitely would have been. We already had to delay this recording, so that Anyway, but yeah, so I made it through TIFF. I made it through like a step and repeat. I made it through 2 after parties. I made it through airplane flights. I made it through like photo lounges and minor press things and didn't get anything.
So tell everybody why you were at TIFF.
Okay, so I went to TIFF because there was the world premiere of Buffy St. Marie, Carry It On, which is a documentary about Buffy St. Marie, and I was lucky enough to co-write it and associate produce it, and so I got to go and I got to attend and be involved in everything and be fancy.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yes.
Us
Thank
on
you.
that monumental achievement.
Thank you. It was
So
wild
proud of you.
and it was so it feels kind of long ago at this point because a lot has happened since then. But I remember it just being a very chaotic night. Like Buffy performed at 7 p.m. We had to be at the step and repeat at 7:45.
Now, can you stop for a second and say what a step and repeat is?
Oh, it's like a red carpet.
Ah,
so you have to
okay.
stand in front of a wall that says TIFF and all the other things, and then people are taking pictures of you, and people are making you stand in different configurations of people together. So obviously everyone wanted a picture with Buffy, and there's so many people involved in making a film that it was just chaos.
So what was it like to walk the red carpet?
Well, we didn't have so there are some really major red carpets at TIFF. We didn't have a major red carpet. We had a documentary style red carpet, which is just the step and repeat. So we didn't have a big line of media or anything. And honestly, having watched other people do that, I think that was fine. And Buffy did so much media all day, and then she did a performance, and then we had to walk 3 blocks back to the theater to get in through and they had there were so many fans that followed her that a policeman ended up escorting us.
Wow.
And she signed signed stuff the entire walk. Like the rest of us were sweating and disgusting. It was so humid in Toronto. And I don't really do well in humidity. But Buffy just has a different.
Well, she lives in Hawaii, so I mean.
Exactly. No, I know. She just has like a different system, like than the rest of us. Like all the rest of us were like so gross by the time we got to the carpet, and she's just like bouncing all over and totally fine. And
I've noticed that in the very brief amounts of time I've been in her presence.
Yeah, she's just like she's operating on a different level, and she's seemingly like she's just different than the rest of us mere mortals. So
tell us about your outfit?
Oh, I wore a very sparkly kind of pink mauve that matched the book cover, actually.
Oh, clever.
Like the Buffy bio. And then a little black jacket over top and some comfy patent Converse that are my sort of trademark things. And we Buffy and Madison, the director, and I all got to be on the red carpet together, and we got Getty photos, like took our photos and stuff. And,
wow.
And the other wild thing is that Madison and I got invited into I'm pretty sure Madison got invited, and then she made them ask me, but that's not, I don't care. That's fine. I'll take whatever invitation I can get. Into the class of 22 TIFF photo lounge. And so I wore a special outfit for that. That was in the afternoon on the same day. And I wore the Let This Radicalize You shirt from...
I saw that. It was so cool.
It supports abortion rights, and it's from... The Twitter user is Prison Culture on Twitter.
We can link to it.
Yeah. And so I wore this shirt, and I wore this crazy, I put on an underwire bra for the occasion.
Whoa.
So it's literally just, the photo really ultimately just becomes my boobs and the Let This Radicalize You across it.
You can link to the photo as well.
Yeah, you can link to the photo as well. But what ended up happening, and I didn't know this was going to be part of it, is that Madison and I, in our photos, because they took separate photos of us and then photos together, we were part of the carousel of photos that was huge, display inside the TIFF theater lobby the entire time of TIFF. It was a rotation of photos, but we came up a lot because I went in for 2 minutes to just sign some books. They had copies of my book in the TIFF gift shop, and they had a few left. And I went in a week after the premiere because I was still there, and I was about to head out of town to Ottawa. And I walked in, and within 2 minutes, I was staring at my own face.
Whoa!
On the wall.
What was that like?
It was so weird. It was so funny, and I felt so like people weren't really, a lot of people are there, but they're not necessarily paying the most attention. But I could see a few people looking between the wall, looking at me. But I had a mask on, and I didn't have the same bra, so my boobs weren't quite as startling. Anyway,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was
so
pretty.
Cool.
I felt very special. I had people come up to me on the streets. You guys,
wow,
it's just strangers,
just wanting to talk about the movie.
And or thank me for the book, and just congratulate me on the movie, and it was wild. Someone wanted their photo with me. I was like, oh, all right, fine.
And I wonder,
this is a bit ridiculous.
And now would be a good time to say when you're going to be able to see it. It's going to be on Crave, you said, coming up.
Yeah. So it's actually going to be on Crave October 21st in Canada, and then it will, I think about a month later in the States, it will be on PBS as part of the American Masters series.
Wow.
That's so
cool.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting. Oh, and Madison got nominated for a Directors Guild of Canada award for directing the film. So,
wow. Congratulations to her.
I know. I'm so happy for her.
So what, did you see any celebrities on the streets?
I didn't really we went to a few films, and I saw some friends, and But I didn't really see any celebrities. I mean, I saw like celebrities being interviewed like after their films or before their films. Like we went and saw Jordan Peele in conversation for Nope. We saw like Anna Kendrick and the cast of Alice Darling were there for we saw like a bunch of people sort of being interviewed as part of their films, but we didn't see any like loose on the street people.
I guess people like Taylor Swift just get like ushered in and ushered out.
They get very ushered in and ushered out. Like it is,
Yeah.
I gotta say, it's like seeing the mechanics of how it all works, like just even a little bit, was super intense. I saw the lineup of her fans and heard them all singing to like welcome her arrival, which was cute.
Wow.
But yeah,
like singing her song. Which song of hers were they singing?
They were singing the one that she did the 10-minute video for, which is why she was there. I can't remember the name of it right now off the top of my head.
All Too Well.
All Too Well. Yes, thank you. Yes, All Too Well. So yeah, that was really fun. And then we were like, I got to go to Ottawa and we premiered the film there. And Buffy and I got to do a Q&A after, and the whole theater stood up and gave us like a standing ovation and stuff. And it was really nice. And it was pretty packed for like a 4:30 p.m. screening. But you know, Ottawa, cool. And then there was this giant tribute show to her called Starwalker that they filmed at the National Arts Center in Ottawa, which is why we had gone. And there were Jeremy Dutcher and William Prince and Leela Gilday, and the Tragically Hip showed up as well. And it was just like this amazing, beautiful celebration of her music, and all these artists did her songs. And of course I cried like 1,000 times. And, but it was just like so beautiful. And they turned the special around very fast. So it's already up on CBC Gem.
Oh, wow.
And yeah.
We can link to that as well.
Yeah, it's really great. I highly recommend it. And not just because they did like several of my favorite songs, but I just like, you know, hearing other artists interpret someone's work, like Jeremy Dutcher's interpretation of Universal Soldier is breathtaking. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to listen to that.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
I know.
It sounds like that was such an amazing life experience.
Oh, that 2 weeks. Like, and then we went to the after party after, and we actually managed to just stay outside most of the time. But like, I mean, I didn't honestly can't. It was incredible. Like 1,000 things happened on that trip. I signed with a new agent, who I just cold emailed and was like, "Hey, do you want to have coffee?" And then she and I just like really bonded fast. And within the hour of talking, we were like, "Okay, let's work together." And like, sure, why not? You know, like just why not make all these fast decisions while you're on the fly? But like, I don't know. It was just a good trip. And even though the COVID has been long, I got to say, I think I'm like really lucky compared to other people. I think all the vaccinations have really helped keep it like as mild as possible. And I'm already looking forward to my next vaccination. I'm going to get that bivalent sucker as soon as I'm allowed. Can't wait.
The highs and lows of your week.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't have had more extremes.
Yeah, a lot of extremes. It was wild. But I mean, now I get to come back to you guys.
Yeah.
So
Oh, well, let's hope
exciting.
that is exciting. Gosh,
Honestly,
I know.
Again, the COVID has compromised me to the point that I think I enjoyed watching this film. I know that we had ended up sort of proposing this as like 5 weeks of torture for Halloween, but now I'm like excited about the next one. Guys,
what happened to you?
what if the
happened to
COVID
you?
broke? What if it broke my brain? I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you are listening to Pop This.
And welcome back and happy fall and everything.
Yeah, thanks for enjoying our time off. We enjoyed it. And we also enjoyed the new episodes we recorded during our time off too. And it's nice to sort of mix up a little bit for a couple months.
Yeah, now we're back fresh as ever. Like, well, except, COVID. But
I feel like Andrea Warner has been a bit fresher for most of our episodes.
Yeah.
I am a little, I'm going to say I'm a bit stale right now. I like.
Well, you haven't left your room of isolation for how many days now?
This is day 8. So I started isolating one day before I had symptoms because I knew it was coming. I had symptoms, but one day before I tested positive. Even on my second day of testing negative, I was like, I know this is going to be positive tomorrow. Like, this is coming. This is happening. I know what's happening. So yeah, I feel a little bit caged and weird.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
8 days is a long time.
Yeah.
But you're so lucky you have like Carlos has been tending to you.
He has
And he
been
hasn't
tending to
got it
me.
yet.
And he hasn't got it. We're just so focused on keeping it from him. I didn't give it to grandma. And I got to say, like, so many people have been so lovely just checking in on me and seeing if they can bring me anything. And, like, it's been very nice. And, if I ever have a day of feeling like I have new friends, I have, like, a series of text messages that I can look at and be like, stop being silly,
That's nice.
So that's nice. Yeah. Twilight, though.
Twilight. Yeah. So that's our fall offering. Our like a bloodletting in a way.
I feel like
There's no witch month this year. We've done a few years of witch months.
Yeah, we have.
And it's been great. And this year we decided to hard pivot into just all of Twilight.
Yeah. And what do you think? Do you think most of our listeners have seen Twilight by this point, or most of them have not?
I'm going to say half. I think half have seen Twilight at this point. Maybe half have not. It really was and is a cultural phenomenon. I think the fact that they're all on Netflix makes it super easy to access. And I mean, I will say, like, the only reason I watched them originally, because I am vehemently against the books. I am.
Oh, so have you read the books?
I tried and I could not, and so I got through like the first couple of pages of the first Twilight, and I was like, nope, this is not for me. And this is back in like 2000 whatever 7, 6, something like that. And I hated them so much. But then I was reviewing a lot of films in 2007, 8, and 9, and 10. So I ended up deeply invested in reviewing the entire franchise.
Sure.
Yeah. As I get, as I want to do, like,
Are your reviews still available to read anywhere?
So I found my original review of Twilight on my blog, where I kept track of like everything I published for like the first 5 years of my freelance life. And I would just love to share the last little bit with you both, if that's okay.
Yes, I'd love to hear it, actually.
Great. So I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. And I think that was generous considering how So I mean, I'm not going to say I was the best writer at this time, but like this is from 2008. I was a year into my freelance writing career. I opened it by comparing it to like a modern day Romeo and Juliet with less suicide and more blood. I called Kristen Stewart compelling, Robert Pattinson combining the old crazy eye with a dash of Johnny Depp. I stand by that. Talking about the intoxication of her smell and, likening her to heroin. And the breathtaking scenery, because I think the scenery is really beautiful. But here I'll get to the end. A truly inane subplot involving an evil tracker vampire who gets a good whiff of Bella and decides she's his next meal creates a sharp departure that turns this romance into a thriller, using the term loosely, for about 15 minutes. The bad vamps are introduced late in the game and just serve as yet another way to illustrate Bella as helpless girl and Edward as fierce protector. For all the hoopla, even diehard loyalists will likely be disappointed in Twilight's shoddy production values, bad clown makeup, and ridiculous dialogue. A sequel seems inevitable, so let's hope for a bit more bite next time.
Oh, clever.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you so much.
Very clever.
Thank you so much. So,
not pleased though.
I remember the laughter in the theater. My review mentions all the laughter at all the dialogue because like I saw it, I guess, not just in a like usually when you are screening films as a reviewer, you might get like a 10 a.m. press screening. So it's just you and like a few other theater critics or like film critics, which is, kind of a weird way to see a film sometimes. I'm pretty sure I saw this. They didn't do an early screening for critics because they knew it was going to get ravaged. I'm pretty sure I saw this in a theater full of fans and non-fans because I mentioned frequently how much laughter, unintended laughter, is happening throughout the film. And yet, I gotta say, 14 years later, I watched and I was like, this is better than I remember.
I watched it in a way. I'll be honest and say I've never seen it before.
Great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I could recount all the pop culture moments from it and knew exactly. I knew about his sparkly skin, and I know he's one of those vampires that they get to dodge the story, so he has to sort of be in the clouds. So I found it very funny that that's where I live. So those kinds of things I enjoyed. But at the end of the day, this is not for me. This was not written for me. The story, the movie, nobody was thinking, let's make a movie Lisa would like. So I kept that in mind as I watched it, and then it wasn't quite so terrible.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to think about it, like, for sure, is, like, if, teenage, like, sort of sanitized Jehovah's Witness interpretive gothic, pop culture is not your bag, makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, like, I kind of started off in like the Lisa boat where it's just like I never watched it when they came out because I was just like not for me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then when the last movie came out and there was like so much hype around it in like 2012, Breaking Dawn Part 2, which we'll get to in a few weeks.
Yep.
My friend Dean was like, we got to just sit down, power through every movie in like 5 days, and then just hit the premiere, like hit the first day it's released. And I was like, sure.
Wow.
I've got
Some
nothing
people
better
climb
to do
Everest
in my life.
You've been through things. I love it.
Exactly.
I love it.
And at that point, when I watched it, I came to appreciate it in a way that you appreciate like cult films. Like, I appreciated how campy it was in many areas, and like the sort of maybe unintentionally funny, amusing parts of the movies, and also like the huge fandom and the huge amount of like influence it has had on pop culture. Like even though it's a story that was not made for me because I was way too old and not a teenager when it came out, I can look at it and appreciate it for being like a cult movie type of thing, like, or cult franchise.
I can see that, but it's not. The problem I had with it on the overall was that it wasn't, say, as good as a Harry Potter movie, and it wasn't, say, as bad as, something from that you want to watch as a bad B movie in a fun film fest of terrible movies, like
You
Ed Wood or something. No, I haven't.
Yeah, wait till you get to the next few.
Okay.
Like, that's the thing. Oh, and I'm going to just correct myself because I realized I called this Jehovah Witness propaganda. It's actually Mormon propaganda.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a good distinction to make because, well, they share some overlap, but they are different.
Interesting.
And this is one of the big things about Stephenie Meyers is that she's this, hardcore Mormon, and that's what comes into so much of like Bella's virginity and her chastity. Again, not as big a deal in this film because like it makes sense that they're just not immediately going to Bone Town. But like it becomes a much bigger deal in the next few films.
You may as well, though. I mean, honestly, with the way he looks at her, like he wants to eat her, literally.
Yeah, there's just, oh God, there's so much about this. Like,
how old is he? 115 or something? Is that
something like that?
Yeah.
He's older.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard though. I hadn't remembered that when Bella comes into the biology room, she stands in front of a fan, and then her scent is blown directly to his nostrils, and he looks so repulsed. And I was thinking about like teenage girls don't have enough to deal with without like looking at this like hot boy across the room who's trying not to like looks like vomit. Like he does not know. Robert Pattinson in that moment did not understand the difference between revulsion and like lust.
Attraction. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just like, I have so many questions about what Catherine Hardwicke was trying to like get him to like, if she tried to like get him into the right moment, or if she was just like, look, we got 37 days. There's a script strike. We can't get any rewrites. We just gotta make this movie,
Well, I mean, this may be a good juncture to talk about the background and synopsis.
Fine.
We haven't
Fair
gotten
enough.
there yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I combined it into one thing.
That's great. Lisa, do you want to read it?
Twilight is a 2008 American romantic fantasy film based on Stephenie Meyers' 2005 novel of the same name. Directed by Catherine Hardwicke, the film stars Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. It is the first film in the Twilight Saga film series. This film focuses on the development of the relationship between Bella Swan, a teenage girl, and Edward Cullen, a vampire, not a teenage boy, as he is trying to play in this, and the subsequent efforts of Edward and his family to keep Bella safe from a coven of evil vampires. Twilight was theatrically released on November 21st, 2008. It grossed over US $407 million worldwide, despite receiving mixed reviews from critics. Following the film's success, New Moon and Eclipse, the next two novels in the series, are produced as films the following year.
I laughed so hard, and maybe again, this could be the COVID talking. I'm so sorry, but like when Bella says to him, "How old are you?" and he says 17, and she goes, "How long have you been 17?"
Yeah.
I was like, I forgot that Bella gets to be smart sometimes in this film. Not a lot, but she has a few moments where she gets to sort of,
Well,
in a different movie, that's Matthew McConaughey driving around the high school in a Trans Am.
I have to say, too, that in the ensuing time since I first watched it in 2012, I've come to appreciate Kristen Stewart as an actress so much more. And I'm now like a fan. And so rewatching the movie now, I have a much like deeper appreciation of her like acting job here, even though maybe it's not her strongest, but I now like sort of like it.
I think she did the best she could with what she had to work with in this film.
Yeah. And I think she did a good job. I think she's would be the absolute thing that a high school girl would want to be. I mean, there couldn't be anything more. Just, the cool girl in the school that nobody really understood. She was new in town. She was pretty. And she has that she's like constantly doing that weird sound. Does it just me notice that, or
no? I think Kristen Stewart's main acting technique is breath work.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
we saw it still in Spencer.
Yeah,
like she was still doing it in Spencer. Like
yeah,
Yeah.
Her way of looking slightly bored all the time is a gift.
I love it. And I
love it.
I gotta say,
I agree.
I really liked her. I think this is weird, but maybe one of my favorite performances of hers. I haven't seen all her films, but one of my favorite performances of hers is in the Charlie's Angels remake.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Like, I think she's so good in that, and she's actually not bored. She's like engaged the whole time, but she's still, because of something about her face, like she can make alert boredom an actual vibe.
yeah.
Like, cause she's too cool. Like, that's, I think, what it is.
She's just too cool. There's just no. I think you could even tell in this movie.
Yeah.
But I think her first thing I ever saw her in was Panic Room with Jodie Foster. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
When she plays her daughter and they're hiding. I think that's the first time I saw her.
I forgot about that.
And then I think my favorite of hers is Personal Shopper.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh, it's really scary though.
Good. Yeah.
And just,
okay.
Yeah, it's a horror movie.
Thank you for warning me.
Yeah.
But she's done such a wide variety of movies over her career. Like, it's have you seen Zombieland?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Zombieland.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really fun.
And then she's done a lot of like kind of film festival, movies.
Yeah.
That kind of don't get that much attention.
And the Christmas one we did last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's great.
Happiest
There you
season.
go. Happiest season. Forgot about, see? It's quite a career. And to think it all really got started playing Bella Swan. To think.
I mean, God, there's so I honestly can't wait to get into the next few films, because we go to some...
Well, I mean, yeah, like she started, Panic Room was 2002, so she started pretty young in the movie biz.
Anyway,
and she did like many movies before Twilight. But I guess they were a little low profile.
I think they're like I think they're like Twilight really changed the game. Like I mean, for the next two films, I think they made in Vancouver, and that, like, we got a paparazzi industry out of it. Like,
yeah. So I have a question, because like you were a culture writer around this time.
Yeah.
And so the director, Catherine Hardwicke, has talked about how she got to direct this movie because nobody was expecting it to be a blockbuster hit.
Exactly.
But so, like, what can you go over, like, how it turned into this blockbuster hit when it wasn't supposed to be?
Well, I think it's because people had really underestimated the fact that it wasn't just like, I mean, people always underestimate like books that appeal to teenage girls, right? But it wasn't just teenage girls that loved these books. It was also a lot of their moms and a lot of 20-year-old women and 30-year-old women and 40-year-old women and 50-year-old women. Like this, like, and I'm sure there's like, beyond that particular sort of gender dynamic, but like this was just the books themselves were such a huge phenomenon. And so no one like necessarily expected that the film would be, they thought it would be successful, I think. But then while it was being made, like it was filmed in Portland and Washington, the first one. Forks, yeah. And
I've been there.
Yes, I know.
It's amazing.
I can't wait for you to remind us about the tour. But so I'll dig it up for next week's episode, because I think it's more relevant then, maybe. But I had an old friend worked on this film, the first Twilight film. She was a production assistant in Portland, and she was just talking about how, like, it was pretty easy. Like the dynamics of the industry were complicated because it was a writer's strike. And so everyone knew that the script was terrible, but no one could fix it because of union rules. And the dad was like the biggest star, like, and he sort of acted apparently like the biggest star.
Oh boy!
Like during, like, behind the scenes. But then the movie opened, and everyone who worked on the film was just like, this is nothing. And then it was huge. Like people were going to see it.
$400 million.
But people were seeing it so many times. Like, and people were going with like multi-generational family outings to see it. Like kids were going to see it like over and over and over again. And they realized really quickly that they had something huge. And then Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson became like huge. And
they became a couple too.
And they did end up becoming a couple too. So that was like a big deal. Mm-hmm. And everyone was following them everywhere. And they moved production to Vancouver, I think for the next 2 films, or maybe even more, I'm not sure. But like literally we suddenly had like paparazzi, like photo agent, like people who their only job was to like follow Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. And like the city, I remember being like just flooded to like go to every filming destination. Like it was a big deal. But I don't think Catherine Hardwicke, I think she only got to make the first one, and then they were like, then they were like, okay, well you've done the most work for the least amount of glory, and now we're gonna get like a bigger budget and a different director.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she told Daily Beast, why do you think I got the job? Why do you think they hired a female director? If they thought it was going to be a big blockbuster, they wouldn't have ever hired me, because no woman has ever been hired to do something in the blockbuster category.
Yeah. I mean, she was coming off of 13 at the time. Like she cast Nikki Reed as Rosalie. You know, And I actually, like, again, in watching it now, 14 years later, I can see her stamp on this, where she does let these characters take themselves seriously enough. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And like, you know, like she's not, there are laughs, and some of them are definitely unintentional for sure. But I think she tries really hard to like give these characters, like as much sort of reality as she can in the world of Twilight.
Yeah, I mean, she shot the film in 44 days on a $37 million budget. For comparison's sake, the last Breaking Dawn Part 2 was shot on a $110 million budget.
But I mean, that's going to be part of just the CGI of the creepy baby. So
that's true.
Spoiler alert, Lisa.
I can't wait till we get to that.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But it held the biggest opening weekend for a film directed by a woman until 2017, when Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman came out.
Wow. That's an interesting stat.
That is. I mean, I like Catherine Hardwicke. I think she has done some really interesting work, and I wish that it wasn't necessarily seen as a fluke. Like she gets no credit for the success of this film.
Yeah. It's definitely, it totally, like, she's been erased from the success of this franchise for sure.
I was pretty impressed. I don't know about you guys, but when he wears her like a spider monkey and then scampers up into the trees.
I know.
Yeah. I was laughing very hard.
I was laughing so hard, but I was also like, you know what? The film work here is like pretty good. Like the crane shots, like they kind of look like they're in trees. Like that's pretty good. I don't, you know, it's not. I was
piggybacking though. Fundamentally, it remains like the most unromantic way to ferry your partner around.
Yeah, no, it does not look sexy. That's why Superman doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Superman would
strap on Lois.
Would put his arm around her so she could fly next to him. Definitely looks more romantic than a piggyback up a tree, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's so perfect for teenagers, you know what I mean? Like Edward, of course, is 115, but stunted at 17, it seems. And Bella is literally 17.
And teenage girls are used to that dynamic.
Yeah. Like that's like the best you can hope for as a teenage girl is a boyfriend strong enough to piggyback you. This one flies as well. Like,
maybe there's some things in it though that as a young teenage girl that has her boyfriend admit that he likes to break into her room and watch her sleep.
There's a lot of creepy dynamics here.
Yeah.
There's like a ton of stuff that is extremely distressing. I think this is the thing that I hated so much about it early on is like the power dynamics are super convoluted and gross. Like everything that you're told about Edward that is like so great is extremely distressing and alarming behavior that like feeds into
and like
very dark realities in our world.
Yeah, and sort of the instant codependency.
Yeah,
I can't live without you. Like
that's very and make me a vampire. I mean,
of course, like again,
regret when you're 17. I mean, it's more than just getting bangs that day. I mean, this is. This is a big one.
Yeah, you're right. And she doesn't give herself bangs at any point. So we gotta hold on to that. Like she's
well, they didn't break up. So once that happens, that's when the
true.
bangs come out.
Oh my God. I forgot that the mom is played by the same woman. Have you guys ever watched Bosch?
No.
Like noir detective show, Bosch. Anyway, it's the same woman who plays his ex-wife in that. And I forgot that is the same person. And like she's always playing the same person. And it's not that interesting.
The shrill mother?
Like the kind of, or just like the like mom that's supposed to be pretty cool, but like they don't write them cool.
Yeah.
Like, and she doesn't seem to embody cool
no.
easily. Instead, she's like, her quirk is that like she forgot her phone and then eventually learned to text. Like that's the character development of this woman in the background of this movie. She learns to text.
Well, it's not a movie about a lot of character depth, really. We don't go through a lot of change. I mean,
you're right.
I don't think that's the strength of this story.
How do you guys feel about the Cullen family?
So creepy. It's so weird. Why everyone just accepts that this is a normal
we'll put
family
in quotation marks.
Yeah, like the
foster children have all hooked up with each other. They describe them as like foster parents / matchmakers.
And everyone's comfortable with this. This doesn't weird anyone out. And do they go to different high schools? Like at the certain point when they have to graduate, do they move to a different one?
All seems
every 4 years.
Every 4 years.
They all seem so old. Oh my God.
High school.
Why are so many of them like just such an ugly shade of blonde?
And why do they get one modern house in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
I imagine to go with like the color of their complexion.
I guess.
So only certain hair colors probably work with that. But yeah, they all sort of uniformly have the vampire strange pallor.
Did you notice about halfway through the film they finally stopped with the morgue makeup for Edward Cullen and just let him be just a normal pale? It wasn't. Was. I was like, what are they doing to this man? This is but even
a
crime. This is a
Bella's
crime.
makeup is very off.
It is teenage makeup. It's like they let her do it herself. They're like, okay, you can use the light blue as both an eyeshadow and an underline. No.
A foundation.
Oh my God.
And mix it into the foundation.
Yeah. Oh my God. I just, I understand they had a budget, but they still had 37 million.
She's not a vampire.
I mean,
at this point, they don't need to make her blue white.
I know. I have a lot of questions for the makeup artists on this film. And the wigs and the guy who plays Papa Cullen.
Papa Cullen.
I hate. I don't like him as an actor at all. Peter Facinelli, that's his name.
Yeah.
He's married to maybe they're divorced now. I'm not sure, but Kelly from 90210, Jenny Garth, and I really don't like his acting at all. Like, it just aggravates me to no end. And he's so wooden in this. Like, he makes Bella's dad look positively inspired as an actor. Like, it's just...
I found it also funny, their depiction of the weather in the Pacific Northwest. And, like, because black ice, like, causes her to slip and then causes, like, her to almost get crushed by a car.
Yep.
And it's like raining on those days.
Yeah, there's no.
So there wouldn't be black ice on the road.
Their understanding of black ice is equal to their understanding of makeup. Let's face it, because everyone's got pretty. I mean, I will maybe never quite forgive Stephenie Meyers for what she does in terms of just like appropriating indigenous
a lot of that
culture and indigenous, like, I just was like, wow, dude, this was not a thing that bounced out to me so much in 2008 when I did the original review. And I understand that there are a couple of indigenous actors. I appreciate that. That's great. But like Taylor Lautner, not indigenous. And his role, I mean, I was grateful that we don't have to like spend a lot of time with Taylor Lautner looking like a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Like having to like deal with like his but I got to say, I'm just going to forewarn you, Lisa. We end up witnessing his like physical development in real time with like the actor, like what the actor was obligated to do to continue playing the role, to be a rival for Bella's affections. And when I remember so distinctly, the only thing I remember from whatever film it is where it opens and Jacob takes off his shirt is that the theater went freaking nuts. Like, the theater just unhinged at seeing this like new Taylor Lautner. And it was so uncomfortable.
Oh, I bet.
Even then, I was only in my like, I don't know, late 20s, maybe early 30s, whatever. But I am not looking forward to this moment coming up. And yet at the same time, it's all I want to talk about because it's wild. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, when I was reading about this sort of legacy of the Twilight Saga, I never really thought about this, but the way people say like Team Jacob or Team Edward, like kind of shipping couples, that like Twilight was like the sort of ground zero.
The love triangle.
Well, I'm curious if that's like, I think that it did get popularized for sure, but I'm also thinking of like Gilmore Girls. We were always like Team Jess or Team Logan or Team Dean. Like, we did have that language was alive before Twilight. So I want to give a little room for like not giving all the credit to Twilight for this. But you're right. We didn't have t-shirts that literally said Team Jess, Team Dean.
Yes.
At this point.
Well, there's so much to look forward to, and I
Lisa, you sound so tired, and we're only on the first episode.
It's but it's also very exhausting. These movies are like on full throttle the whole way. There is no downtime in these stories at all.
But aren't you grateful for that? Because like, think of like, it's already boring.
Like that.
It's already boring.
But it was over
like,
2 hours.
Think of how much worse it would be.
It was over 2 hours.
Yeah, I know, but like, think of how much worse it would be if it wasn't quickly moving.
Yeah, no, it would be really,
because we are going to get there.
Yeah, we are going to get there.
Where it's going to feel terrible.
Oh.
They're just like stretching.
Yeah. Okay, then, all right. Well, then this one moved at an incredible like locomotion, just heading for a bridge that was going to collapse. It always felt like it was just full tilt.
They all go on a vacation to Italy at some point.
Oh, God.
Just like
and we have to
see with the vampire.
And we have to see their past lives.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Oh, all right. There's so much
and
to
I
look forward to.
Get into it, Lisa.
I'm in.
You have to get into it.
I'm in, friends. Don't you worry. I'm in.
I mean, I'm sure that as we watch more of it and each week reveals another depth that I had forgotten. Because, like, honestly, I don't remember anything about all the other films except that Jacob body reveal and then the eventual bang scene and then the eventual and then the eventual
Bone Town.
The trip to Bone Town. It's so funny. And then the eventual imprint. Like those are the three things I remember from this film.
Yeah, that Renesmee.
Yeah.
Burned into my mind.
I cannot wait to get there. It's going to be so good to talk about with you guys. I feel already I feel my fever climbing a tiny bit from the COVID.
Oh,
but
okay.
It's fine. But I also feel like I'm like working like the literal COVID demons out of my body by talking about this with you guys. So this is great. Thank you so much. Oh my God. So funny.
So I hesitate to ask this, but where are we all standing on whether this movie pops or not?
I'm going to say it pops. I'm going to say that there's nothing else like it. The Twilight Saga, it's all on its own.
There's nothing else like it. Is like damning with faint praise, I gotta say. Like this is
probably is. I'm giving it a thumbs up just because it is what it is. That's what I'm going to say.
And you know what? And I can't disagree with it. I know we didn't talk about it very much this time, but we'll get into it eventually. Just like what we can blame the Twilight Saga for is 50 Shades of Grey. So I'm looking forward to talking about that in the future.
Either.
I have never seen it either.
Neither.
I've never seen it either. God. But is
that having an anniversary?
Jesus, probably.
No, it's never gonna have an anniversary. Don't even look at it.
AG is just like, I'm sorry, but I'm not talking about this suburban fetish gear with you two for 3 weeks.
50 Shades of Grey came out in 2015.
We got a few years
to
just ease AG into this. I can't wait to just God. Anyway, I'm looking forward to talking about that. I'm looking forward to like just talking about like the again, I'm going to be judgmental here, but like the grossness of like multi-generational women in families being like, Edward would be great for my child. Like these conversations were happening. So uncomfortable. So gross. So worrisome.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you guys are really selling it. Thank you.
But yeah, okay. I guess I will also say that I think Twilight pops. Like I'm not going to say it's good, but it's definitely better than I remember. And I think that like it's quick paced. It's giving us like an introduction to a world. It firmly establishes the world that it's trying to create. It's a stupid world, but it does like a decent job setting it all up. It looks like the scenery looks pretty. I think Kristen Stewart does, what she can. And I think Catherine Hardwicke does a better job than she gets credit for.
I would agree with all of that of the above. Yes.
AG, what about you?
I think it pops. I think this is also probably the strongest movie of the franchise.
Oh boy.
It is. I'm so sorry, Lisa.
But unfortunately, Lisa, it's like a flotilla. Like you have to
I'm on it. I'll keep going.
Appreciate it all. Like, and I appreciate the whole more than I do
the individual parts.
Part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I recommend like the saga.
Okay.
It's a roller coaster journey. You won't be happy much of the time.
Maybe it's like being immortal. Maybe you know what I mean? It's like, seems like it'd be a really great idea, and then you're in there and you're like, wow, that was a mistake. Like the bangs. You know?
But,
yes.
But then you just have it in your mind forever.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. We love to also leave our episodes on something we recommend wholeheartedly, more fulsomely. And because I'm going to take a sip of my water in a minute. I'm going to go first if that's okay. I watched on my second day of COVID and I loved it. Lisa, I don't know if it's going to be for you. I'm going to give you a heads up already. But a teen flick on Netflix called Do Revenge.
Oh, never heard of it.
It's great. It is like Cruel Intentions meets Clueless with a little Heathers thrown in and a little bit of Strangers on a Train. And so like just honestly, I loved it. I think it's very dark and very fun and it has some twists and it also has like a good cast and it's pretty funny. So I would highly recommend it. I actually am going to recommend it to you, Lisa.
Okay. I will.
It's not like it doesn't like deviate into like true Heather's territory that much. It's just a little meaner than you like might normally like. Mm-hmm. But like it doubles back on itself several times and I think you'll enjoy that.
All right. Okay, I will give it a chance. I will say that.
And Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke's daughter, Maya Hawke, is one of the
also
leads.
in Stranger Things.
There you go.
Yeah. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Okay, good.
If you guys both watch it, maybe we'll do it at some point.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Like, it's pretty fun.
I'm going to recommend this. Okay, so what happened is, you know how you like subscribe to an obscure, or not obscure, but like a channel that you don't have a subscription to watch like one thing and you're like, oh, I'll unsubscribe like right away so I don't get stuck paying for this forever.
Yep.
So I did that with the Sundance channel and then like totally, as you always do, forget to cancel your subscription. And so ended up watching this other series on there called Good Grief. It's from New Zealand. And it's these sisters in New Zealand created it, Eve and Grace Palmer, and they play sisters in the show who are like really different. One's a teacher, one's a DJ, and they inherit their grandfather's funeral home and decide to just like
that sounds fun.
Quit their jobs and run it, and like have to learn how to embalm and like host the ceremony and like all of this stuff. And it's so funny. It's the funniest thing I've watched in a long time.
That sounds so fun.
Well,
yeah,
I am going to
recommend
segue off that, though, because I was going to recommend Bad Sisters. That's on Apple TV. Have anyone had a chance to watch that?
You guys are both doing sisters stuff? Cool.
Yeah. Has anyone had a chance to see Bad Sisters yet? It's amazing.
No. Not yet.
It's Sharon Horgan again from Catastrophe, and she stars in it. And it's a very, very dark comedy about four sisters, and they really, really loathe their brother-in-law. And he meets an ending, and we don't know if they caused it. So
fantastic.
It's really good. I'm caught up in it now. There's only one more episode left next Friday night, and that will be the season finale. So if you wanted, and you can catch up, but they are about an hour each episode. So that would be quite a commitment.
That sounds great. Both of those recommendations sound great. I like that all of them are comedies with a bit of edge and darkness.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
We have certainly vibed out together. Well, friends, thank you so much for listening. You can hang out with us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You could...
wow.
You're running out of steam.
I just ran out of steam immediately. So sorry.
I've never heard anyone say Instagram in such a sad way.
I know, I'm so sorry. And you can also rate and review us 5 stars on iTunes.
And before I say my big thank yous, I apologize for my dogs who have decided that there are many evil squirrels outside that must be barked at. So thank you all for listening. Thank you to Andrea Gin, our producer here and co-host. And no thanks to Rudy and Cash for that behavior. None for you. None for you.
Bye, friends.
There we go. Bye.
Perfect.